Good afternoon, MLB Pro family. I'm your Sacramento A's General Manager, Scott Kessford.
And I'm your Kansas City Royals GM, Rob Chapman. And you are listening to the
And today,
sounds of
of
beautimous stuff.
yes,
Yeah,
the Kansas City
go
Athletics
ahead with the date, Scott.
podcast. Today is Tuesday, June
That's what it
17th. We
is.
usually we usually record on Wednesdays, but I have a full schedule tomorrow, so we decided to do it today. So let's start off on recapping the league. So right now in the American League East, Tampa Bay has a 4-game lead over Boston, 10 over Baltimore, 12 over Toronto, and 18 and a half over the Yankees.
And in the Central, the Tigers have been flip-flopping with the Twins lately, but right now, a half a game up. The Royals are 5.5 back. White Sox 7.5 back, and the Guardians are 15 games out of first.
And then when we get to the American League East, the Los
West.
Angeles Angels are now in first place with a game and a half lead over the Astros. They're surging, but they've lost a couple in a row. Seattle is 2 out. Sacramento is 7.5 out, and Texas is 12.5 out.
Looking at the NL East, the defending champs, Philadelphia Phillies are 46 and 26. They 12 game lead on the Braves.
Woo!
The Braves are leading the Mets by another 4 games, and then the Nationals are 16 and a half out, and the Marlins are 18 and a half out.
And then we get to the National League Central, who's still all over 500. I can't believe that this far into the year, all 5 teams are 500 or better. The Pittsburgh Pirates lead the division by a game and a half over the Cincinnati Reds, 2.5 over the Cardinals, 4 over the Cubs and Brewers.
And the Arizona Diamondbacks have built a tiny bit of a lead over the Giants out there in the West. They are 2.5 games ahead of San Francisco. Colorado's 8.5 back. San Diego is 11 out, and the Dodgers are 11 and a half out of first.
And if we look at the wild cards in the National League, everybody is within 10.5 games of the wild card race. But that's led by the Giants, and the Reds are tied. And then the Cardinals, and then the Cubs are a game and a half back. So is Milwaukee. The Braves are 4 back, and Colorado is 5 back.
And the Astros and Mariners lead in the AL wildcard race with the Twins and Red Sox tied for that last spot. The A's, your A's, are 3 games back, and my Royals are 5 games back. I'll go ahead and mention the Orioles, who are just 6 games back as well, but then got 7, 8, 8, 14. So um, everything is not going awesome for Kansas City.
What's going
Um,
wrong?
well, we had Mark Baker finally come back, and he played a couple games. He hit a home run. He dove for a ball in the outfield. Now he did make the catch, but then he got hurt again. It's just a day-to-day injury. I played him 1 game since he's been hurt, and he didn't get hurt again, but he went 0 for 4. I put it in Slack earlier today. I'm gonna platoon him. Okay, so this is something that I never do. Um, I have ventured in the world of daily lineups for the first time. Now I'm a staunch believer in letting my manager set the lineups most of the time, but I wanted to get a little more action for I'm sorry, for Javi Lopez, my backup or third string catcher, depending on what day of the week it is. And
You mean the one you put on the trade block?
yes, I need to get him more playing time because I'd like to make him an attractive player to be traded. I think he is a very attractive player to be traded. A lot of people have inquired about him over the last couple years, but I wasn't ready to move him until I decided I really needed Neftali Rosario to be my captain. So now that I've got a captain that's going to be my backup catcher, I really can't go on with 3 catchers the rest of the year, and Lopez is too good to be my backup. Now, if I have to keep him, I will because he's a quality player,
But
but I'd
but why don't you
rather.
offer Alvarez out there? I mean, you might get more for him than you do for
I
Lopez.
think long term Alvarez is a much better player. He's just not producing right now. You know, he hit 22 home runs last year. Um, he's capable of doing that again. I think he's just in a bit of a slump. But the bottom line is the two of them, what they share in common, um, while Javi is more of a contact hitter and Alvarez more of a power threat, neither one of them is a great defensive catcher. So I'd like to have one of them be the starter, and Neftali, who is much better defense, would make the better backup option for me. So, um, yeah. So anyway, so I got Baker back. Now he's back out. I've ventured into the realm of daily lineups. So right now I'm doing a three-man catching rotation. But while I'm doing that,
Wow.
I'm going to alternate starts in left field between Mark Baker and Bobby McDonald. Um,
Yeah, for Baker, it says if you look at him on his status, it says it's 5 days and it's a moderate.
yeah,
Uh,
it,
but
it's what it says on my scouting report is that it minimally influences his hitting, and it minimally it affects his throwing and has no effect on his running, which is very interesting because
oh,
when I look at it on my work computer, it says no effect on his hitting, no effect on his throwing, and a moderate effect on his running.
that's what it shows on mine.
Okay, so that's really weird that it has different things listed depending on what computer I'm on. But nonetheless, because none of it is, significant, I'm just gonna play him every other day and cross my fingers that he doesn't get hurt. You know, he still shows up according to my scout as a regular level of durability guy. Since he's not, if he was listed as fragile, I would probably just bench him altogether. But he's not fragile, even though he's had 5 week injuries now 2 years in a row. He's not designated as fragile, so I'm gonna keep rolling them out there, although only every other day. Um,
Okay. So the what I see in Kansas City is your pitching is struggling.
yeah,
Your Bubek and Scalise are doing just fine, but the Funk Man, Watson, Nast are struggling.
so Watts has actually pitched really well lately. In fact, three of his he was 1-9 at one point, and so he's 3-1 in his last five starts. And he's only given up one home run in his last five starts, and he's given up a total of 10 runs over those five. So it's like 2 runs a game, only giving up one home run, 3-1. He's been good the last five, but Funkhauser has been awful. Funk's started 4-0, and now he's 4-4.
Oh boy,
And
yeah.
he's been giving up a ton of runs lately. He had a game a couple weeks ago against the Twins where he gave up 3 home runs in one start, and he's just
Yeah.
been not good. So what we've done is I made a little bit of adjustment to my rotation, and I moved him down to the third spot. He'd been the one spot all year. So now um Bubik is my number one starter, Scalise second, then Funk, Watson, Nost. So
Okay. Yeah, because
um
Funk has given up 22 runs in his last I think it's like 26 innings.
yeah, he's been really bad, but his ratings are off the chart. He's clearly, according to my scouts, my best pitcher far and away. Um,
Trade the bum.
yeah, no, I'm gonna keep him going. So we're just gonna try to take some pressure off him by getting him into the third spot there.
Okay. See how that works.
Okay. Yeah, I am going to see how that works. Um,
Anything else about the Royals?
no, just since our last podcast, we've gained a half a game on the well, it was the Twins then, now it's the Tigers, but we were 6 out of first, now we're 5.5. So we've been playing very average ball, but so have the Twins and Tigers. Although the Twins actually have been playing better than both us and the Tigers and have moved up in the standings to where they're ahead of me. For a while, they were behind me, but I still
Yeah.
I still feel like, we haven't hit our stride yet. I feel like each of the last couple of years we've done a double-digit win streak around this time of year. And so I'm still hoping that streak's going to come, which will really get us into a good position going into the trade deadline. It might
Hey,
not come, but
so
if we
do you
could
know
just
who
get
do you,
some, yeah, go ahead.
consistency? Yeah. So do you know who your best player according to the raw ratings are?
Uh, n- uh, Not War, but Raw.
Sure. WAR. Yeah. War.
Well, I do
That
know
would be,
that.
yeah, because you're
That,
probably looking
that,
at a big, that'd be Gus Lopez.
yeah, and he's my team leader. He was, remember we did that face of the franchise season or two ago.
Yeah.
Um, he was my face of the franchise, and
But that's
uh,
not who it would be now, right?
oh, Gus is still the face. We have, the young man, Bradley Swagger, but
It took,
Gus is
wait,
still
how long
the
has it taken you?
Gus is still the man that's going to be, um, he will hopefully be an all-star this year. He's hitting over 300 in his career and today, and I think he's second or third in the league in stolen bases right now. But what we really need to do is get these other guys, the Alvarez's that have 5 home runs who hit 22 last year, and the Mark Bakers who have hit 6 home runs, but only managed to play 32 games out of the what have we played about 72. Those
Yeah.
guys need to be
Step it up.
playing better or playing at all. Um, Cody Clemens,
Yeah.
uh,
Because
you know,
when,
Co Cody Clemens is one of my biggest bats, and it's funny, ever since he's come back from his long injury he missed, I think, 6 or 7 weeks, he's only hit 1 home run since he's come back, but he's been a 300 hitter, which is
yeah,
not like to see. So he's kind of doing the opposite of Willie Mays Hayes in Major League Two. Um, and he's decided that he's going to be a contact hitter and hit for an average now instead of a home run hitter. But
maybe next time he'll bunt for a single.
I don't think that's happening. That's but yeah, so he's only, since he's come back from his injury, he's only got 1 home run, um, which I think was the first or second game he was back.
Yeah.
Um, but he's been hitting, 278 during that span. So for a guy that typically hits 240, we'll take that. But
Yeah.
um, his average right now, what is it at? Is at 290. So it's not what we expect to see out of him. But I'm not complaining about him like I am Alvarez, who's hitting 202 with about a third as many home runs as he should have at this point in time.
Yeah. Well, somebody has to struggle for other people to do better.
Yeah. Well, I need everybody to do better. So how's
Well,
how's your stuff going?
the A's, we're still struggling with the bat. If we could ever figure out the bat, might be dangerous. We're doing fine in the pitching. We're in the top, 5 to 10 in most categories in pitching, but in hitting, we're in the bottom third, or in some of it, the bottom couple to get in there. Uh, Jalen Lofton, who we talked about last time, who he's just struggling, and I may end up throwing him back in AAA to see if he can get his bat going next week when uh, Garrett returns and Martinez returns. And Profar, who's been great with the glove, has a 178 batting average for us this year. So I benched those two players for the next couple games to see if that helps. And then next Monday, my next off day, my plan is to send Lofton down to AAA and hope Profar can start hitting with the bat. The other day, as I think you mentioned in the Slack room, I got 2 hits and scored 4 runs yesterday against Houston.
Yes, that's
How often
correct.
does that happen? But I got the win.
That's
That's the
amazing.
important part, I guess. but just I can't hit the ball. So hopefully Vaughn will come in and help turn the team around. So since the last few games he's been here, he's got two, three, four, five hits and 22 at bats. So yeah, 250, 260 average. If he can do that and hit with some power,
Yeah.
that will be okay. So
So speaking of 250 averages and not speaking about hitting with power, but at what point, okay, I'm going to bring up Jalen Lofton, my favorite subject, because
yeah,
we've argued quite a bit in a direct message channel on Slack about him over the last couple weeks. At what point do we decide that he is just a 230 hitter? So he played in well, exactly 139 games for Oakland/Sacramento now, and he's got a 231 average. And he played in 134 games with the Padres organization and has a 226 average there. Like he's 26 now. His potentials, at least according to my scouts, have come down. It's still 60 contact. Um, but at one point my scout saw him as a 70.
and my
And
scout has seen it as a 65
yeah,
for the whole time.
and his avoid Ks, my scout used to see as a 65 potential. Now sees 55 current, 60 potential. He's fast, right? He
Yeah.
can steal. He's got good range, not great range. Makes a lot of errors, or at least his glove rating is low or his error rating is low. He's got a good arm, but not spectacular. At what point do we decide Jalen Lofton isn't hitting poorly, but he is what he is? Like when he's hitting
Well,
227.
just so you know, Jalen Lofton has committed a total of 5 errors since 2022,
Okay.
and none of them in Oakland/Sacramento.
Okay.
So his defense has been very good, which is probably why he has a 0 rating right now. I don't know. I'm hoping that if I can send him down to AAA, he'll bounce out of it. But if not, he's going to be a AAA-er and be called up when an injury happens or something to
And the
fill
way I
in.
look at him, he'll always
I've
make a
been,
good fourth outfielder because he can be used
and
as a
that's
pinch runner. He can play all three spots. Um, he
and that's
can
been
get a hit
my
from time to time.
yeah. I've been starting him out in right field just because like Mitchell got hurt and other circumstances. So I've been playing him every day. But yeah, do I still see him as a third outfielder, but if another team comes back like you and say I see him as a fourth outfielder, I can't argue with that with his average and on base percentage the way it is.
Yeah.
But if you need a pinch runner, he's your man.
So how
And
long
maybe
till
and
Mitchell
maybe there's a
comes
team
back?
out there, and maybe there's a team out there that has a player that needs to change the scenery too, and we flip Lofton for whoever that is, and we see what happens. To answer your question, Mitchell's coming back on probably on the 23rd when we get done with our current homestand,
Hmm.
and he'll join us on the road for Detroit and New York and Tampa Bay the end of the month.
So you're giving him an extended time in Nashville.
I am a week and a half or so, yeah.
Okay.
Uh, for Martinez, he'll get like 4 days out down there or something like that. Because I
Yeah,
need his
you need
bat
him back.
back in the
You need
live.
I think you need his
I
glove
need,
too. You need
yeah, I
his
need
bat and his
everybody back
glove.
right now. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then I got to decide, if Benetra is going to stay up or if I'm going to send him back to AAA to play every day.
Hmm.
Because with the acquisition of Vaughn, I don't know if he wouldn't play every day up here in Sacramento. He'd be my backup third baseman, first baseman, and DH probably, along with Don Winston.
Yeah. Well, he's not hit well, but he's held his own sort of um, in the
Sort of
29 games he's
217 for
appeared.
Winston.
Oh, I was talking about Penetra. Um, yeah,
Oh,
yeah, he's
Penetra,
hit
yeah.
230,
Yeah,
235 with, but he's hit 3 home runs in 100 at bats, which given his minor league numbers, he hit 6 home runs in all of 2023, and
right. Yeah.
it's not bad.
No, but I was not expecting to bring him up at all this year. My plan
Yeah.
was to keep him in AAA, and hopefully his ratings would max out and he'd be ready for 2026. But you know, injuries happen and you
So
get frustrated. And
yeah,
but my pitching's really keeping me in games.
yeah.
Even you know, even Hunter Green has been pitching okay as of late. Not last game against the Angels, but
Well, let's
before
start.
that, go ahead.
Let's talk about while we're talking about your pitchers. Let's talk about Giolito real quick. And this wouldn't be the Kansas City Athletics podcast if we didn't talk about the recent series between Kansas City and the Athletics.
Yeah,
Um,
how'd that
so
series go, by the way?
so over the weekend, um, we played um, Friday, June 13th. Giolito took to the mound and would eventually be named player of the game there. Um, I thought we did okay against him. We had 8 hits on him in 7 innings. He got 6 strikeouts, but he's more than a strikeout an inning type of player, like
Yeah,
by a considerable margin. So I think that we did well, but we couldn't get anybody home. We just kept leaving base runners. Um, and when we got
yeah,
to
and
your
Nass
bullpen,
and Nass struggled that game.
yeah, he was pretty bad. You know, I think he was okay through the first 5, but they probably should have sat him instead of throwing him out there for the 6th inning. He'd given up a run in the first, a run in the fourth. Um, but then in the sixth is when he gave up 3 runs. Lockwood came in and got us out of that inning and was effective. It was kind of the opposite. Like once you brought your bullpen in, we were able to get a couple runs.
Right,
Um,
yeah.
but up until that point, it was we weren't really we were getting singles. Um, we had 2 extra base hits in the game. Both of them came off your bullpen. Um,
Yeah, they
Giolito
both scored
didn't.
runs too. Yeah.
Yeah. Giolito didn't really um, walk anybody. Didn't give us any free passes like we like to get. So, the result was we lost 5-3. But I thought it was a good, well fought game. Um, KC did have 2 errors, but they were not consequential. Um, so we went into Saturday thinking, hey, we need to get this one. We need to get this so we can have a shot at winning the series. And it was the exact same final score, 5-3. This one was looking like it was going to be a 5-0 game. Um,
Yeah, and then
I
my manager left Hunter Johnson out there for the ninth
was gonna say Hunter Johnson had a great game. Yeah, it
into
would have
the
been.
ninth inning.
He had a great game. Um, Struck out 10, went 8.1. Funkhauser in the middle of this bad stretch of his gave up 5 runs in 6 innings. Now it was the same kind of thing though. I think through the first 6 innings, Funk was fine.
Yeah,
Um, he gave up, I think, just 2 runs. Yeah, 2 runs in the second. And then when the seventh started, he actually walked, or he gave up a hit and a walk, I believe, left the game, and then Lockwood gave up 2 hits, which resulted in the rest of those 5 runs scoring. But Lockwood wasn't
yeah.
charged with any of the runs. Lockwood just was just, charged with no runs. We gave up, he was the pitcher out there when they scored. So Funkhauser probably didn't appreciate that. Uh,
No, not at all.
I will say the best thing about this game is cleanup time in the bottom of the ninth. We did have a 3-run home run by the one and only Bradley Swagger. So that was nice, but we lost.
Yeah, and Weber came in and pitched 2.2 scoreless innings, only gave up one hit. That's pretty impressive. No matter who you're facing.
Yeah. And Hunter Johnson was player of the game, but I think like a shout out also has to go to CJ Abrams, who was 4 for 4 on the day, with 2 runs scored. So he had a big game.
Yeah, he did. And he was playing right field for some reason on that day.
Yeah.
Why? I have no idea. I did not slot him in to play right field ever.
Well, we went into Sunday desperate for a win in KC because the home crowd is now getting restless. And it looked really bad at first because the first inning, get the first 2 outs, give up a single, give up a home run.
At the
Start of the
Profar.
second, yes, to Profar. Start of the second inning, get the first 2 outs, give up a single, give up a home run. This time to Monken Jr. So we'd given up 4 runs in the first 2 innings. Not a good look. Um, Started chipping away. We got a 1 run back in the first, 1 run back in the fourth. Um, Scalise was on the mound. He really settled down after those 2 home runs. I think he only gave up 1 hit in the rest of the game, and he went all the way. He pitched 7 innings, so from the third through seventh innings, he just gave up 1 hit. Um, but then we had a big fifth inning. 2 run double from Clemens was kind of the highlight of that inning. Swagger had another. He had a sac fly in that game for a league leading 62nd RBI. And we managed to squeak out a win to salvage, well, to not get swept. But it was a 5-4 final. Sacramento, I think you guys were looking like the bad news bears out there with 3 errors. But I don't think I think only one of those errors led to an unearned run. The first error was a dropped pop-up. I was watching the game and I think Gus Lopez was up and the catcher dropped a pop-up for the first error and then he grounded out of the next pitch, so it didn't
Hey,
really do any good.
hey, we're
But
gonna we're gonna get visited by the anonymous GM here.
oh, sweet.
So I'm letting him into the room, and so when the anonymous GM's available, he's gonna
Well, that
hop
sounds
in.
like fun.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm sorry I've been missing you here these last few
Ah,
weeks when I know I've tried to join you. So I'm happy to join in, even though I know you guys are 30 minutes in. So I apologize,
yeah.
but thanks for having me.
Oh, no
Good.
worries.
We're glad to
Welcome
have you.
aboard.
And yeah, we were just talking about our series over the weekend, and so we just wrapped that up as you were coming on. So
So I
uh,
have one question on that, and then I apologize again if you've already touched this.
yeah,
Yeah.
The league needs an update on the whole Cody Clemens situation and Jalen Lofton. Um, it felt like we got close, and then the last I heard from sources, that deal has fallen apart. So how did we get close to no longer anywhere near a deal with Cody Clemens?
well, I
Uh,
can tell you from my point, Chappie got greedy.
I knew you
No,
were going to say that. Well, the real okay, so that's probably not going to happen. The big thing, and we did talk briefly about this, but I'll restate it, is that because I don't know if I phrased it exactly like this, is in it's my last scouting report on Jalen Lofton. Uh, he no longer is showing up as a 70 contact potential guy to me. He's showing up as a 60 potential contact guy, and there's only about 13 70s in the entire league, which makes him very desirable, but there's tons of 60s. Um, so that's been the main thing causing me to lose interest in him. Uh, I posed the question earlier, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. At what point do you decide that a guy who's 26 years old, I'm talking about Lofton, is just a 230 hitter? Like, at what point is he no longer somebody who has the potential to be a 300 hitter, 275 hitter even? In my eyes, I'm starting to see Lofton as somebody who's just going to hit 230 and that's all he's ever going to be. And that doesn't have a whole lot of value to me to give up a guy like Clemens who's good for 30 home runs when he's healthy.
I'm not gonna cement him in as a 230 hitter just yet completely. I think he's been up and down from the minors to the bigs. shuffled throughout lineups in his career. That being said, what I'm looking at, 1,094 at bats, and he was a 229 hitter. He's not a 300 hitter, that's for sure. But could he be a 250 hitter who steals a ton of bases, plays really good defense in left field, and hits seventh, eighth, or ninth? 100%. Was there a risk from Oakland's or Sacramento's perspective with Cody Clemens, who 1 year left on his deal, his average fluctuates, the power's there? Was it a deal that probably made sense for both sides, yet at the same time made no sense for both sides? I think that's probably the way I would have put it. Like, it would have been one of those, like, what the hell kind of trades. Like, there were pros and cons for both sides. It was a fair, I think what was being debated a lot was it a fair deal? I think it was a fair deal. Did either side get better with potentially doing it? I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
I think it made more sense from Sacramento's perspective because I think they just have so many outfielders. Also at AAA
and we're
and the
short,
minors.
and we were short on first base. Yeah.
So I think it would have made, if I was Sacramento, I probably would have done the deal quicker than if I was Kansas City.
Which is probably accurate. I think Scott was more willing to, although we couldn't get back to once the talent potential fell in my scout's eyes. I don't think I was ever going to offer what I had originally offered. And I think by then Scott was ready to take that offer. But then I was like, no.
I mean, Clemens, though, at the same time, he's got his 30 homer year in 2021. He hit 34 in 2024. But the 2 years between that, he hit 16 and 17.
Yeah.
So, like, what is Cody Clemens, I think, is also a fair question to ask. Good infielder, but is he that middle of the order bat that I think those 2 years maybe suggest? Probably not.
And one of the reasons why I didn't jump on it right away is, Clemens is scheduled to make $9.6 million next year.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a fair amount. Again, we're seeing dollar amounts for players go up. $9 million is not a lot of money. When Dave Allen's going to be getting paid $40 million in a handful of years, like $9 million for an everyday starter at a premium position is fair. But then you turn around and you see what Sacramento paid for Gabriel Vaughn. I think Sacramento had other options, and I think all is right in the end.
And I don't think $9 million is going to keep us from trying to keep Clemens.
No.
Like we're definitely gonna go to arbitration with him and get that. But what that number becomes the following year, if he hits 30 home runs this year, which he won't, but if he has that kind of pace for the remainder of the year, since he's already missed 5 or 6 weeks, extending him beyond next year might be a problem for us, especially when we have Bradley Swagger who can play first base with this same level of defense. So at that point, Clemens probably leaves KC.
From my point of view, I was looking at Clemens' salary next year because I'm already over what my projected salary cap is for 2026. I didn't want to go too far in a hole, because I got to start paying Fustini and Hunter Johnson and the pitchers I acquired. So
there's a lot of arbitration meetings ahead for the Sacramento A's here these next few years.
There is. So, all right. Now that we've beaten Kansas City and Sacramento to death, Mr. Anonymous GM, is there anything you want to talk about or want to get off your chest?
Well, I just wanted let's start with what I think sparked not a nerve, but sparked conversation in chat this morning. The Tampa Bay Rays.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going off of the site, so tell me if I don't know when Matt last updated the site. We're 44 and 27. Is that accurate?
28, 44 and 28.
Okay. 44 and 28. So they're still in first place with at least a 3-game lead.
Yeah, it's 4 now. Yeah.
Okay. So it's still 4. Are the Tampa Bay Rays not a playoff threat? Let's start there. Does anyone agree with that assessment that the Rays will not be in the conversation for a playoff spot come October?
No, I think Tampa Bay wins the East by quite a bit, especially with all the injuries that Boston is facing at this time.
I don't know if they win it by quite a bit, but I think they are definitely at worst case a wild card team. But I think they have a good shot at beating Boston. I'll say this, the one area where I kind of agree with Comey is that they have the largest differential between their actual record and Pythagorean record. So they are kind of getting lucky, I guess you could say. Um, but still their Pythagorean record is solidly in the playoffs. So I don't think that's a, well, maybe not solidly, but it's definitely fringe in the playoffs. Um, but I think if you look at that number, you'll see that they're not that much ahead of the Red Sox. In fact, their Pythagorean record is 39 and 33, and the Red Sox is 39 and 35. So
So one
the Red,
game, yeah.
yeah, and the Red Sox are 8-2 in their last 10, and the Rays are 4-6 in their last 10. I don't think it's a given they win the division, but I can't see enough other teams making runs where they wouldn't make the wild card at the least.
Again, be in the conversation for a wild
Yes,
card
in the
at least.
100% in the conversation.
I think there's one thing that I have my eye on with this team moving forward here in the next couple of weeks is Michael Matula appears to be out of the closer role. A guy who was brought in early in spring training, or middle of spring training, rather, early March, and was promised a starter's spot in the rotation. And he's been asked to close these last few weeks, and it's been an utter disaster out of the bullpen with an ERA of 8 and 16 appearances. He wasn't happy, and it wasn't working. Who takes over that ninth inning role for a team that has gotten good starting pitching? So can they find that guy to shut things down? What we've seen John Roberts in the past, Brian Chan in the past. Where does Tampa Bay turn there? But there's just too much on that roster for them to 17 games over 500 to just completely fall out of that picture. So sorry, Comey. The three of us, I think, agree with Hines. You're at the very least strongly in the conversation for a playoff spot coming into the year.
Yeah, exactly. And he has a lot of good bullpen arms that I think could fill that closer role. Josiah Gray, for one, but it looks like right now he's putting JT Ginn in the closer's role to start now.
Yeah, and Gen's got nasty stuff. Nasty.
The only thing there, too, a player who I think thinks he's a starter.
Right.
Will he be satisfied in that ninth inning role for an extended period of time? The
That's
stuff is
always a
electric.
question. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
Elsewhere,
that's always
yeah.
the question. That's always the question, is somebody going to be happy in whatever role you put them in? And I think we all struggle with that from time to time on where somebody fits, or they want to be they think they're a starter, but we think they're a bullpen person. Are they going to be happy or not? And sometimes the answer is sure, they're okay, but if they get unhappy because of that, I think that starts bringing the morale of the team down.
If you look at I'll stick with the American League for one more question, you guys. Then I'll look at the National League. Is there a big surprise to you in the American League this year? And if so, are we looking at teams that are maybe overperforming or underperforming? What's been the bigger surprise? The biggest surprise is from a team perspective to you guys.
For me, it's no doubt the Tigers being
Same
where
here.
they are right now.
They have a good team,
I
but I
don't,
did not expect them to be where they're at. I expected them to be behind Kansas City and Minnesota.
yeah, when I look at their roster player by player, I'm not surprised they are where they are now. I think what I'm basing that on is the results they got last year, and they didn't change a whole lot. And then where they were in the preseason predictions, which was dead last in the Central, for them to have started as strong and then maintained it this long has surprised me.
The only thing I would throw against that, I think, is something we see throughout the league at times, and it's the real life obstacles that get thrown at GMs. And I think last year there might have been too much going on off the field that had a certain member of the Tiger front office not entirely, I don't want to use the word focused, but focused,
Distracted.
distracted and disheveled, and disappointed with things. And I think it snowballed in Detroit. I don't think they were as bad as they were last year, So
No.
I mean, I agree with you. I'm not sure I saw them being in first place at this point of the year, but I think they were a real threat this year. Whereas the two teams to me in this league that I'm at least perplexed by a little bit are both Baltimore and Toronto.
Toronto. Yeah.
Toronto is definitely a surprise. I think I can't remember for sure. I need to go back and listen to the recording, but I think I actually had chosen Baltimore to win the East, or was it maybe it was Boston? I've been a big fan of Baltimore, and I was surprised that they're middling around like they are right now.
So kind of the same perspective that I had with Detroit. We saw that with Baltimore
Mhm,
last year, except they were winning games while Drew was unable to function in charge of Baltimore.
mhm.
So I thought with someone who was going to give them full attention, which appears Tommy is, with someone like Julio Rodriguez playing like he is, an all-star level player, uh, I expected them to be 5, 10 games above 500. There's a lot of talent on that team. For them to be where they are, I'm very surprised, I think.
Yeah,
Right. Okay. So you want me to tell you where you picked
that would be great.
Rob? You picked
Yeah,
Baltimore. You picked Baltimore to win the division.
yeah, that's what I
Uh,
thought.
yeah. And then you said no chance to the Tigers.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I said, when I look at their roster player by player right now, I don't know why I thought so poorly of them. Although, they do have some of those classic overachiever signs. They have their fifth in runs scored, 11th in OPS. So they're getting run. They're opportunistic. Now they do hit well, and their on base percentage is good, but they don't hit with a lot of power, and yet they score they score a lot of runs. So I
Well,
don't think they're great.
the team that's going to scare me moving forward is Houston. They started off so badly, and now they're only a game and a half behind the Angels, and I mean, they've lost the last two, but they're surging, and I
Yeah, I
see
think they
them
were a near
coming up and
unanimous.
taking the West.
They were a near unanimous pick in the preseason.
There's one thing that I think could hold them back come the playoffs, at least in their current construction. That's the loss of Bill Black. I
Yes.
think losing Bill Black is a big deal come the playoffs.
Right. And is he done for the whole year?
Done for the year. Same
Okay.
Yeah,
token,
he's
I mean,
Yeah.
he's
when you look
he's
at
he's
his,
done for the start of next year. He's
Oh yeah,
uh,
13th.
it's the
Yeah.
same in the ninth inning for Detroit, losing Jason Groom. And the flexibility he provided either in the rotation going 4 or 5 innings, pitching multiple innings out of the bullpen, splitting time with Tewksbury in the ninth inning. That is a big loss, especially with Matt Cantorino coming in and really struggling so far. So
Yeah.
late in games for Detroit is going to be a mystery.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kyle, going back to Houston real quick, Kyle Cody is currently their fifth starter, and he's not not a playoff team pitcher right there.
Yeah,
Um,
but your number five pitcher is not going to pitch in the playoffs. You're going to do 3 or 4
no,
man rotation, depending.
I agree, but what if Allard or Weathers goes down? Like they've already got Kelly and Black on the DL, IL.
And two rookies in Emerson Hancock and Andrew Painter in the rotation.
Yeah,
And you compare that to, we just talked about Tampa Bay. Uh, there are starters, I guess, have the seventh best ERA, but there's some depth and options. Oswalt, Greer, LeBlanc, Reed. Detroit's got some options. Liberator, obviously, at the top. Dumont's pitching well. The Angels with Erickson up top. Seattle with Hooper. Houston just doesn't, with the way, as you just pointed out, that Allard and Weathers are pitching, they don't have that guy that can match them inning for inning. Their offense certainly can, but is there enough in that rotation? That'd be my concern with a team that's obviously as good as any.
And that may be what Matt's looking at and looking to see who's going to be available come July on the starting
100%.
pitching market.
Yeah, they're gonna have to retain
And
salary
that brings
to.
up, I don't see Houston as being the for sure lock that we saw, I think, at the beginning of the year because of some of those things. But, then when I look at the National League, look at what Philadelphia is doing
Ugh,
now. They're on fire, and with their team, I don't see them coming back to the field at all.
oh,
They've got an offense that 1 through 9 is dangerous.
Yeah,
In some aspect, whether that's getting on base, whether that's hitting home runs, whether that's running, and obviously 2 through 5, Hale, Vaughn, Kamita, Gundy. I mean, I'm trying to think. I mean, that's as good as any heart of the order throughout MLB Pro's history, basically. I mean, you just got guys
yeah.
that mash.
And they
and
rank in the
they're
top 3 in every category in offense except for stolen bases.
And Anthony Hale isn't even playing that well. Hitting 260,
and
291 on Bruce Basic.
they're about as healthy as you can be. I mean, they've got a couple pitchers on the IL, but one of them is a guy that didn't even pitch in the majors last year. I mean, like,
Hmm.
um, they're yeah. A repeat is very, very possible right now. Now, once you get to playoffs, anything can happen, but
I think
they're
the focus
cruising in the East.
when you look in that division, the focus to me comes in the last place, and it's the Marlins, and it's Ronald Acuna. And
Mm,
yes, I think real life Acuna, MLB Pro Acuna, and there's definitely needs to be separation. They're different.
Yeah.
But Ronald Acuna hitting 16 home runs, 250, 350, slugging 480. 480. Final year of his deal, 27 years old, extremely popular. Can play all 3 outfield spots, can run, can do just about everything. On a team that has had very little protection around him. Now Gunnar Henderson is a superstar, and just so is Justin Flo. I don't see how Miami retains him. I don't know what the numbers are, but when we just see Dave Allen get $42 million a year, roughly, I have to imagine that the number for Acuna is what, north of 25? Is that a fair
Yeah.
estimate?
I was going to say around 30-ish. But
Okay.
right now they have like almost 70 million or $69 million available for extensions. So they have some room in there.
Again, they do, but in their current form, they're 26 and 44. So
Right.
keeping Acuna, I don't know what it does for a team because they've had him and they're not winning. Where does he fit?
Right. And do you rent him out and get a couple of good prospects in return to help build that system?
That
I think
or yeah,
I reached out to him just to kind of see where he was with Acuna. He hasn't responded back on that, but I expect him to put him on the market come, well, anytime now between now and July 1st, and just you tell me what you're willing to pay, and let's see whose offers best.
I mean, I'll throw this just out in response to that. The Sacramento A's should not be acquiring Ronald Acuna. Let's just be.
Oh, we're not gonna be able to, but it doesn't hurt to make a phone call, or in this case, send a message.
Yeah, but he has to go to a team that has a reasonable chance to extend him. I mean, for any team to,
to give up
it'd
the
be it'd
amount of
be
talent.
very, very, very wishful thinking to acquire him and think I probably can't resign him. So you're
Right.
looking at Boston probably has room. Toronto, if they want to start their future, probably does. We know the Yankees will have interest. It makes no sense there. Minnesota is an intriguing spot.
Nah,
You
I
look at
I My interesting spot is going to be the Angels. They have the money. I just don't know if they have the opening for them.
do they have the opening for him? And we've obviously seen the track record of that front office makes that spot seem very unlikely. We just talked about Houston wanting a pitcher, and I don't think they have room in the lineup per se, but that's a team to watch. I believe Texas has an intriguing budget for a team that isn't winning. If you added Acuna and extended him and put him between Blackburn and I believe Evan Carter, Arturo Cruz, pardon me, that's an intriguing spot. And they are loaded with pitching prospects. So Texas is a team I keep my eye on.
Yeah.
And then the National League, I don't know. Pittsburgh, unlikely. Cincinnati, unlikely. St. Louis becomes an intriguing spot. And then you have the teams out in the National League West. I mean, what if you're the Dodgers? And you extend them, you start your rebuild, not even a rebuild, but retooling with Acuna in one outfield spot, and you have Juan Soto in the other. You're all of a sudden not the worst team in the National League West anymore.
Right.
I don't know, but I'd be shocked if he remains in Miami 2 months from now.
Yeah.
What
Me too.
about the Reds? They might have the money,
They have the money.
and they might be looking for an edge in a very tight division.
They have a player too that could get it done in James Wood.
And they have a spot.
Yeah.
They gotta.
I don't think you're going to give up James Wood, even for an Acuna. Right now you don't even know if you can resign him or if he's going to want to resign. And do you give up a prospect that's high? That I think the franchise was going to bring him up earlier this year before his injury to give him a shot in the majors. But not that Acuna's not worth that kind of a prospect, but is the team going to be willing to give up that kind of a prospect in order to have a chance?
Here, okay.
To
Let
resign
me ask you then this, Scott. And it's a little grain of salt. Maybe think of it was a week ago before the news of Paul Skeens' injury, because that definitely I think changes this question a little bit. But if you
Mhm.
if you had to move one of Paul Skeens, Ryan Lentz, and James Wood, who do you move?
That's true. Yeah. I'm always going to move the hitter over the pitcher.
I tend to agree. And I don't think you're moving Paul Skeens, and now you're obviously not with him being injured. And with him being injured, I think the likelihood of you moving Ryan Lentz is even less.
Right.
Which gets us right back to, is James Wood the guy that gets moved? To get a player like that, he might have to be.
Right. The hard part is just knowing, I'd be asking the Miami GM, what kind of an extension does he want, just to see if he's willing to sign an
100%.
extension.
100%. I think anyone acquiring Cunha has to at least have an idea of what that number is before acquiring. 100%.
Right. Yeah.
Just as a side note,
Go ahead.
it looks like Lentz will be making his 2025 debut with Cincinnati today. He pitched in a few games last year, but I think he's slated to start tonight.
Yes, he is.
And he's got future ace written all over him.
Yes.
Yeah. Currently the number 8 prospect in MLB Pro.
And does
OSA.
Acuna make up the difference over Pittsburgh? I mean, Pittsburgh's playing out of their mind right now.
Scott, do you still have the preseason predictions of my preseason predictions by chance?
Give me 1 second. I can pull them up.
Tell me who I said was going to win the NL Central again for me.
Let's see. NL Central, the anonymous. Oh, he picked Pittsburgh.
I did. Okay, I just thought so. Just wanted to just pat myself on the back for that one.
There you go. Yeah, that was. I mean, Pittsburgh has potential, but I didn't see that coming out in 2025. I thought it was going to be 2026 for them to.
And did I pick the Reds?
You picked the Reds, yes.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair with my pick, just as Rob pointed out with Detroit, and you started looking at their team stats, when you look at the team stats of Pittsburgh and you try to then come up with how is this team 10 games over 500, it is a little difficult. As of the other day, 9th in batting average, 9th in on-base percentage, 6th in slugging, yet 4th in runs scored. Okay, I don't know how we're getting there through 2nd in the National League in walks, and they run a lot. But then on the other side of the bill, 10th in team ERA, 10th in starters ERA, 14th in bullpen ERA, 11th in runs scored. How are they winning games exactly? I don't necessarily know the answer to that question, but they are.
Well, it's not Tyler Donaldson helping them win. We know that much.
Yeah,
Although
you
I
look
wish
at
him
their
well. I
team and
wish him well.
they're doing fine, but yeah, nobody stands out as like an MVP
Hmm.
candidate or anything like that.
No.
They're solid in areas. I mean, yeah, the more I look at this, I'm befuddled in many ways. There was a pointing out the other day of Hogan Harris and his move to the rotation and what that has meant. I think that's allowed some depth between Mark Davies, Ken Waldichuk. Um, the acquisition of Jamie Widner, how has he done since coming over? He did get the win the other day against the Cubs, a no decision and a team victory against the Phillies. So you've seen some success there in an up and down 5.29 ERA and 3 starts. So that hasn't been great, but there's depth to the rotation at least in Pittsburgh with experienced arms. So I think that's an intriguing aspect of the Pirates.
And hopefully they continue on. To me, they're a good story for 2025.
Would you guys stick with your Reds prediction as of today?
I
Um,
would.
yeah, especially if they get Acuna. No, I'll stay with them. I'll stay with it.
Yeah,
The
especially
te-
if, if they don't get Acuna and they bring up James Wood, what kind of influence is he going to have on their hitting? Their outfielders have been fairly good with the bat this year, outside of Justin Fabian, but
Yeah.
their pitching
Yeah.
has been good.
So just I've mentioned this before, but like one of the things in the NHL I like to do when the trade deadline is passed and we're trying to figure out who's going to sneak into the Stanley Cup, which is, it's a different animal because you have so many teams getting, you get like 16 teams in, so half the league is going to the playoffs. But one of the things I always look at is that goal differential, and it's usually a pretty good predictor of who's going to end up passing people. If you've got somebody with a nice positive goal differential that's near the bottom, sometimes they work their way up. And if you look at that in the NL Central, the Pirates are minus 17 in runs this year. The Reds are plus
Yeah.
25. So
So that means
looking at
they're
that,
winning close games and getting blown out.
yeah. So I'm pretty comfortable sticking with the Reds. What's interesting though is the Cubs are also plus 25.
Yeah.
Um, so way to go, Cubs this year. But yeah, I'll stick with my prediction of the Reds for the Central.
I'll throw one other team
But
out
look at
there, a
the
team that we haven't mentioned. We've talked about the Pirates, we've talked about the Reds, we've mentioned the Cubs. There's two we haven't. One's got a minus 48 run differential. To your point, sorry Milwaukee, I don't think it's you. The
And
St.
they're
Louis
still over
Cardinals are
500.
flying under the radar,
Yeah.
and Gary Copeland is playing like Gary Copeland, and they have some pieces that are near the bigs. I am very intrigued by this Cardinal team. They can pitch. Third best starters ERA, second best bullpen ERA. They can run. They've got two guys at the top of the order with 49 stolen bases between Tanner and Perez in front of Copeland. Brady Vanderbilt starting to hit. If Pete Crow Armstrong, if Joe Yovan, if someone in that bottom half of the batting lineup can do something, I'm keeping my eye on the St. Louis Cardinals to be the team that ends up winning the National League Central.
they could,
Sorry,
and
Pittsburgh.
they got a guy in AAA, Ron Shapiro, who is not like hitting the lights out of the ball, but when you look at his power and making contact, he could fit right in that lineup now when those other outfielders aren't hitting. But you're right. Would this be a place for Acuna?
And what's one thing that a lot of the playoff teams are going to be after come the deadline? Relief pitching.
Mm.
Yep.
What does St. Louis have at AAA that could, let's say St. Louis with their loaded bullpen moves a player? I don't know who it is, but Joe Rock, Connor Phillips could easily slide back into his replacements in the St. Louis bullpen. Mac Anglin. There are arms in St. Louis that are major league ready that make this team with some holes in the lineup. I think there are a lot of positions open in St. Louis that I think could be upgraded outside of center field, first base, and Alfredo Perez, his spot. Brady Vanderbilt and DH, obviously, with Copeland. they've got flexibility to go any different way with people who are open and put pitchers that can be moved. The more I look at this today,
Yeah.
and I didn't come in necessarily thinking St. Louis, but just looking at them right here in the last 5-10 minutes, there's a lot I like about the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah, they look good. I mean, but the whole Central, if I look at each team, they look like any one of them could win. Maybe not Milwaukee or with a minus 48 run differential, but they're still only 4 games out. Move here, move there. Any one of those 5 teams could win that division.
To your point, you got to win close games. The Brewers are 17-9 in one-run games.
There you
That'll keep you in any race.
Yep. Exactly. And then
The Brewers
at
have
the beginning
a
of the year, I
lot of
kind of
guys on the IL. They got a lot of a lot of hurt players.
yeah.
Um,
When I was looking at the National League at the beginning of the year, I figured Arizona and San Francisco were going to separate themselves from the rest of the field. And I see they're playing today. Uh-oh.
looks
They
like
have.
You guys still there?
Yeah, no, we're
Okay.
still here.
Any comments on the National League West?
I mean, I think we've seen San Francisco. I mean, I think there was talk, obviously, earlier in the year about Houston's slow start. San Francisco had the same 11 and 17 in April. Since then, 27 and 14. You're seeing Colin Hurrell still be every bit as good as he was as a rookie. I think the one change looking at this has been the up and down season of Nolan Arenado, and can he find any sort of consistency? When you look back at his April, he hit 149 with an on base percentage of 243. He followed that up in May, hitting 326 and 393, 547. He slugged OPS of 940. But now here in June, he's back to the April version, hitting 173 with an OPS of 550. Can the San Francisco Giants, excuse me, be the best team in the National League West or National League if Nolan Arenado is not hitting? The answer to me is no. They need Arenado to be much better than he's been here in June or June and April than he was in May. Around him, there's pieces, Sparks and Soderstrom behind him. But to compete with the Phillies, who we talked about, to compete with the lineup that Arizona has, they need Arenado. So Arenado is my concern with the Giants, but they clearly weren't the team that they were in April. They're better than that. They're going to
Right.
be it's going
Mike,
to be a dogfight all year.
yeah, and Taylor Sparks is not hitting the ball like Taylor Sparks. He only has 6 home runs so far this year, compared to 35 last year.
yeah,
That doesn't help either.
no. Oh, one thing I'll say about the Giants though is aside from Philadelphia, they are the best road team record wise in the NL. So if they keep playing well on the road, hold their own at home, they've got a good shot at passing the Diamondbacks, or at least maintaining maintaining their spot on the wild card.
And you look at that bullpen, the
Right.
mix of righties and lefties, the mix of again, we used the word electric earlier. You really
Hmm.
use it when you talk about Dave Bland, Dan Hennessy, Michael Roman. Uh, there are options, multiple options to play matchups. You play matchups. You're not burning future matchups. It's been evident as they have the National League's best bullpen that I don't see that disappearing anytime soon.
No. And
No.
what a terrible name for a guy with 80 stuff, Dave Bland. He's anything but. Anything but.
Okay, well,
You
we've been
may
going at it for about an hour now.
All right. Well,
So any last comments that either one of you want to make, or
you guys go first. Let me look at this. You guys planned this ahead, not me.
Well, I just want to say thank you for coming on,
Yes.
AGM. And yeah, things are not that far off from what I thought. We talked about the surprises. That's definitely for me, the Tigers, but everything else, I'm pretty much sticking with my other picks. I feel like everything else has kind of gone the way I thought. Pirates, kind of a surprise. Tigers, kind of a surprise. Everyone else is pretty much where I thought they'd be.
Except for Baltimore. You
Yeah,
and I both picked
Baltimore.
Baltimore
Except
to
for
win the
yeah,
division.
That's right. Yeah.
But
yeah.
you know,
Thanks for having me on. Or go, Scott. I'm sorry.
oh no, I was just going to sit there and say, for the most part, we're almost halfway through the year, and things are starting to separate. The good teams are becoming the good teams, the mediocre teams, and then the bad teams. We kind of know who they are. My interesting part for when we return in 2 weeks is who's going to be buying, who's going to be selling, and what players are going to be available. I think it'll be a key thing for us to look at in 2 weeks from now.
And I'll just finish with first. Thank you guys for having me. And then just like there are three or four things that I think have been mentioned in chat that just pique my interest. I can't wait to see tonight. Can the Angels finally beat the Yankees? The Yankees are 3-1 against them to start the year. Of course, makes no sense, but it makes perfect sense in the way this league runs.
Yes.
Continue with last night. What Sacramento beat Houston, as Rob pointed out, scoring 4 runs with 2 hits and 3 total bases. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yep,
That is
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was.
Go,
We talked about that at the beginning. Yeah.
yeah, I want to see that one replicated tonight, and then Houston and LA later this weekend, next week. I look forward to seeing that. And then, as Rob also pointed out, Bradley Swagger, rightfully so, deserves all the talk in the world. He's fantastic.
Woohoo!
That
Finally.
being said,
Yeah, don't bloat his head any more than it is.
Justin Flo is
Yes.
having a hell of a year, and we got focus on Acuna. Gunnar Henderson's fantastic. It just feels like Justin Flo's flying under the radar. And I know there was a team out there that was really trying to acquire him. Golf clap to the Miami Marlins for holding on to Justin Flo. I'm glad he's still in Miami. I look forward to seeing him at the All-Star game here in a couple of weeks. So
Hey,
thanks,
and
guys.
yeah,
Yeah,
one other note on the rookies. Jordan Walker from the White Sox is continuing to play outstanding. He still doesn't have the number of plate appearances qualify for rate statistics, but he's really playing well. He's hitting 307 with 13 home runs in 43 games out in Chicago. So he's a great looking rookie too.
Yeah. There's a lot of good looking rookies out there.
But we all know Swagger's the best of them. So
Just what you needed, Rob. Somebody to bloat your head a little bit more. Well, no, I appreciate you coming on, Mr. Anonymous GM. You're welcome. You're welcome anytime. And
thank you,
we
guys.
appreciate your insights. And in a couple weeks or a month from now, as we get closer to the trade deadline, maybe you'll want to come on and help review some
Yeah,
trades. And
yeah, definitely. Stay tuned
yeah,
when I get those new renews sources. My inbox is always open to those still listening. Send those ideas, rumors, anything your blogs. Let's also help spread the word. We'll see some trades happen, and maybe we'll get another trade out in the public like you guys were trying to pull off there.
yeah.
yeah,
And people are more than
one
willing to. We're happy to
one
have
day might
whoever wants to
happen.
come on. Yeah. And if you want to have one that's close to the trade deadline, and that's all we do is have a podcast where we talk trade, I think we're open to do that also.
That'd be good.
That would be awesome.
So yeah, with that being said, it's about time for us to sign off, and appreciate both of your inputs and look forward to talking with you again in 2 weeks.
Thanks,
All
guys.
right. See ya.